Dude, the bolster. It saddens me you can get your knife sharpened, especially by a professional, and have it coming back like this. I know I'm not perfect, and it's not my job to talk down on any other sharpener out there. So what we're gonna do is reset this bolster. Yeah, but check it out too, right? Like there's a lot of life's been taken out of this blade. With that much steel, it's been ground off. There's still a lot of life left in it, but. And then the other, the real reason why we're talking about this is if you're chopping vegetables on a cutting board, anything that is falling right between this spot is not going to get chopped, right? So we need to set that bolster back up and clean the geometry of the knife so that it chops along the whole cutting edge. Before we get into resetting the bolster on this knife, I just need to let you guys know about the Guild of Professional Sharpeners. And like so many weeks, I was just scrolling through it to give you guys like a quick snapshot on like what's going on in the Guild and what happened there over the week. And there's too much, man. Like it's awesome between like talking about WordPress and choosing themes or getting on a small business promotional thing that like, there's some spam, like some stuff about like how to know when a phone call you get is like spamming you to try to like do something with your website or Google or Yelp or whatever. And there's just so much going on there, and it's wicked exciting. If you're thinking about starting a business in sharpening, and like there's really no better place to be, I'm telling you that. And it's a lot more than just like sharpening. And a lot of the Thursday night grind is just to fill the void of how much there is to know about sharpening. But sharpening is just a small part of owning a business, and there's a lot more to it. And you ought to check it out. The one thing that we're into December now too, right? And another thing that I did was give I captured what happened in November in my sharpening business and then provided my own outlook into December and invited everybody else to do the same, right? Look back on like, how much have you grown? What are the big milestones that you've accomplished over the last month towards your goals? And then what does next month look like for accomplishing your next set of goals or the same goals that you're still working toward? And I just invite you to get on the email list because there's a good reason to be on it. And I'm going to leave it at that for now. But the best way to get on it for you in this moment would be to go to the 21 reasons to start a sharpening business. You'll see it in the description, and I'll make a comment there to highlight there. That'll get you on my email list. It'll get you my 21 reasons. Like there's a bunch more, but 21 pretty hot ones to start a sharpening business. And you'll also get into my weekly newsletter. So check that out. And now let's go grind a bolster. First, thanks to all of you for the kind words on the voiceover being a little bit higher quality. But here we are. We're going to start grinding. I got the dust collector going, checking for suction there. Here's how I'm going to work the bolster. I got a 60 grit ceramic belt on there. This is a hog of a belt. So you got to go real easy. I'm doing light touches, rocking it a little bit. I'm just going to put up a little burr. I'm going to have to clean that off later. You'll see me, like what I'm doing with my fingers there really frequently is touching it to make sure that it is not heating up too much. Quick camera adjustment to try to get you a better shot of this, but this is it, doing the majority of the work on the belt here. And what I also have, you'll see me soon, I'll bring some water over. When I feel that starting to warm up, I'll dip my fingers in a little soup can of water that I keep near my grinder. Here it comes. Cool that off, right? Like the 60 grit belt doesn't put a lot of heat into the metal, but still, you just want to pay real close attention and frequently cool down the steel. Use your fingers as little thermometers to check how it's doing. Again, rocking it. For the this is a pretty flat blade. For some of the other Western knives, like the bolster is really rounded, so I kind of try to match that roundedness as I'm doing this grinding. But this is not the finished product, so I just want to make sure you know that we are going on to another piece of equipment, but this is where I'm getting most of the work done. I've also found that getting right in at the heel of it there is helpful too, so that that's not, having it angled back a little bit to give yourself a little bit better situation on the rocking is a good thing. In a lot of ways, resetting the bolster is very comparable to fixing a swale or dished out knife. And I have been leaning on the Tormek more for situations like this. You also see I keep a little water in there and just top it up when I need it. Using the coarse stone grater to hit up the side of the stone. I've heard it said that you're not supposed to grind on the side of the stone. Man, like Tormek makes kits for grinding on the side of the stone, so I'm not worried about it. But anyway, I'm doing that because I get a nice flat surface. So hold on, let me get you a better angle. What you're going to see is I'm going to be using the flat start of this part of the stone, and I'm going to set the knife against it. It's going to make you cringe a little bit because I'm destroying the edge, but I'm doing that so that I can bring the edge back in a more uniform way. And you'll notice I'm going back and forth, and I'm rocking it a little bit, taking off a little more at the heel. And right now what you're not seeing is I'm setting it down on my workbench to sight beneath the blade to make sure that it's doing all right. And it is. So here's what it ends up looking like, right? Like you've got a big flat spot now. So it'll sit down nice on the bench, but there's, you got a lot of work to do, right? So how do we get that bevel back? Well, that's right. We're going to take it back to the 60 grit belt on the 1x30. And again, here now you need to be super careful, real light pressure, because again, that belt's pulling off a lot of material. And this one was kind of funny because the bolster has the edge has a weird transition into the bolster. So what I was just doing there is like trying to sight in exactly how I was going to do that. And perfection is a big challenge, but try not to let good enough be the enemy of, or don't let perfection be the enemy of good enough. But anyway, here I'm going to be using the coarse belt here to bring back that edge. I'm looking for the burr after the passes, and I'm looking at the bevel too to make sure that I'm putting on a pretty uniform bevel and building a burr up along the whole length of the blade, with a little bit of exception near the bolster, right? Because that bolster has to transition into the edge. So there's going to be a spot near the heel of that knife where you're not going to be putting up a burr and you're not going to have an edge. And that's by design on that blade. So let's go forward a little bit here. So now I've done all the work with the 60 grit belt, so I'm going to put the 120 back on there to refine the bevels that I just cut, make them look a little nicer, smooth out that transition into the bolster. There'll be just a few light passes, also to make sure I've got all the chips out of it. That was kind of nice, huh? That nice and slow, steady, light pressure, constant angle. Look at that guy. Nice, dude. Notice I don't bring the blade all the way off the belt, right? Like that's how you're going to round your tip over. And you need to be real careful as you get toward the tip. You kind of relax your pressure because it's going to get more focused onto a smaller area as you get out to the tip. So that both is going to grind more and also put in more heat. So you can't see me adjusting the pressure that I'm pressing the blade against the belt, but it's just a little thing for you to consider as you're grinding your own knives. Little test on the bench here, not too bad. And then we finish it out on the sequence of work sharp with blade grinding attachments. So this is just kind of, I think you've seen this before. If you haven't, welcome to my latest style of kitchen knife sharpening here, where I have 3 work sharps with blade grinding attachments, each running at the same angle but with a different belt, starting with work sharps coarse, fine, and then their cloth strop with the green compound. What they're setting on a downdraft table, which is connected to the central dust collection system that I have recently installed, and I am still fine-tuning. This was a marked improvement over just sharpening them on a bench. I will say that I don't get the tickle in the throat anymore, which makes me feel very good. And in the interest of everyone's attention span, I'm going to speed up this closing out section, put a little compound on that cloth belt. A couple more passes here, and that baby is going to be razor sharp. And that is resetting a bolster on a chef knife. Remember, guildofsharpeners.org if you want to join a community of people who are learning how to sharpen and building businesses at the same time. And please do all those things that help me out, like subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, hit the thumbs up, and remember to go download the 21 Reasons to Start a Sharpening Business so that you get on my email list because you want to. Take my word for that one. Thank you so much. I will see you next week at the next Thursday Night Grind.